What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's your boy Noname back at it again with another New York Giants video, another update video for Giants out here. Now this actually, the news of this came out yesterday, so I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have already heard it. The Giants picking up cornerback Shakial Taylor off of waivers, the former Colts and Denver Broncos. They picked him up, of course, in an effort to bolster the cornerback room, the defensive back room, in the wake of DeAndre Baker being placed on the commissioner's exempt list. Now, I did say this on Monday, actually, in my video, speaking about specifically the Giants cutting Rosas and signing Chandler Contazaro, whatever his name is, that Chandler dude. I was like, the Giants, I expect them to sign a couple of more kickers in order to bolster competition and get some more camp bodies in there, because I don't expect Chandler to be the starting kicker come, the start of the 2020 season. I said the same thing for the second outside corner position. I said I fully expect the Giants to sign a couple of guys to come in and create competition, or maybe even to take that spot, and that is what they're doing here with this pickup of Shakial Taylor. Now, like I said, the news came out yesterday. I was in the middle of editing the subscriber selected vid. If you haven't already checked it out, go check it out. I was in the middle of editing that when the news came out, and actually it kind of relates to what I'm going to get into in this video with the competition at the second outside cornerback, because this is a move right here that I don't think a lot of people expected, simply because if we were going to sign somebody, I think we were expecting maybe a little bit more of a veteran, somebody that's just a little bit more known, not really an unknown. Well, the guy isn't a complete unknown in Shakial Taylor. He was an undrafted free agent rookie last year for the Colts, and then he was dropped by the Colts. The Broncos picked him up, but he never actually played in any game for the Broncos, even though he was on the team. And then he was dropped there yesterday, actually, and the Giants picked him up same day that he was dropped. And before I get, too full into my thoughts about the move and all that, let me just read to you straight from Giants.com. They had a small article put out about it. This is what they had to say on the move. They said, one day after cornerback DeAndre Baker was placed on the commissioner's exempt list, the Giants added a player at that position when they were awarded second-year pro Shakial Taylor off waivers. Taylor was released yesterday by the Denver Broncos. The Giants players who hadn't previously reported arrived at MetLife Stadium today for the start of training camp. A 6-foot, 181-pounder, Taylor played in 5 games last season for the Indianapolis Colts, who signed him as a rookie free agent. Now, before I move on, I will say, when I looked up this dude, a couple different websites, there were different measurements for him, different metrics. I guess you would have to go with what the official Giants website says. I would assume they have, the current measurements of him, but I've seen, in terms of height, that's kind of accurate. I've seen anywhere from 6 foot to 6'1". Weight, I've seen from 175 to 185. Now, 175, I'm going to assume, is what he was as a rookie. He probably put on a bit of weight. I'm guessing maybe at some point he was 185 with the Colts or the Broncos, and maybe he dropped some weight this offseason. Who knows? But I will say, unlike Darnay Holmes, and this is how it relates to the video I put out yesterday, because Darnay Holmes was in that video I put out yesterday, Shakial, in my opinion, has the size to play outside corner. One of the reasons I want Darnay to go into the slot, not only because I think him at his best is him when he's playing the slot cornerback role, it's also because he doesn't have the frame that I would like for an outside corner to have, especially when it comes to wingspan. Shakial here, he might be only 6 foot 6'1", but he has like a 6'2", almost 6'3" wingspan. The dude has extremely long arms, and he uses them in, the very few tapes that I've seen of him, because it's honestly, there's not that much of him online. But continuing on with the article here, it continues to say he was credited with 7 tackles, 6 solo, and 1 pass defended. Taylor made his NFL debut at Kansas City on October 6th. His last game was his most productive. He had 5 tackles, 4 solo versus Jacksonville on November 17th. Taylor was waived by the Colts on November 25th and was awarded the following day to Denver. He did not play in any games for the Broncos. Taylor played in 21 games at the University of Kansas in 2017 to 2018 after transferring from Mesa Community College. His totals with the Jayhawks included 55 tackles, 46 solo, 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, 8 passes defended, and 1 forced fumble. A native of Lakefield, Florida, Taylor starred at Chaparral High School in Scottsdale, Arizona. And that's really how the article kind of ends off. It also mentions that the wide receiver David Sills is placed on the reserve/COVID-19 list. David Sills, of course, an undrafted free agent from last year. That's kind of I guess I could really quickly address that. I hope the guy's okay. I hope that he's in good health, you know, since he's placed on the COVID-19 list and whatever. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, in terms of undrafted wide receivers, David Sills was not really on my mind. I got 3 specific dudes on my mind when it comes to the undrafted wide receivers. Once again, shameless plug to that video yesterday. Go check it out. These 3 dudes I think can actually have an impact on like a David Sills. But back to Shakial Taylor. Yeah, you got a nice rundown there the Giants.com put together, kind of summarizing what he did at Kansas University, and then summarizing what he did with the Colts, and of course, like I said, didn't really get to play for the Broncos. Now here's the thing. Even though he was signed, in my opinion, to be a sort of a camp body to force competition, I actually think he has a legitimate chance of winning that second cornerback job. Because if we're looking at who's competing for it right now, yeah, you could say basically everybody in the cornerback room not named James Bradbury would be competing for that second spot. But let's rule out guys that I think are gonna, you know, be competing for the slot cornerback role. I think Julian Love would not be competing for an outside role. I think that Grant Haley wouldn't be competing for an outside role. He'll be competing for that slot role. And once again, Darnay Holmes, you know what? He might be competing for that outside role because he has the speed to keep up with an outside receiver. He has the agility and the physical ability to play outside cornerback, kind of like how this guy here, Shakial Taylor, does. But I really want him to play slot cornerback. But let's just say that he also competes for it. That would be his only real competition, in my opinion, because Sam Beal, who would be competing for this outside corner role, I don't think Sam Beal's going to get it just because of the health concerns. And then Corey Ballantyne, while I love Corey Ballantyne, he has a great story, a great come-up story as a Giant and whatnot. I don't know if he has just the ability, the talent to make it as a starter. I think he could be a great depth piece for the Giant, and I honestly think that's what he was drafted as, to be somebody great in special teams and be great depth in the secondary. I'm not sure if he could win that starting job. Shakial Taylor, while he's not far off from those dudes, you know, he went undrafted. At least Corey Ballantyne got drafted. I think Shakial Taylor has just at least the physical traits to be an outside corner. Once again, going back to his wingspan, that's a big thing right here. I think he has probably one of the larger wingspans in the cornerback room there. That's definitely going to help him out. And once again, there's not much tape on the guy. In fact, you can't even find tape. You can only find highlights. And I will preface what I'm about to say by, of course, highlights are cherry picking the very best, you know, examples of play of a player and putting them together in a video. The only thing I could find of Shakial Taylor online video-wise was a highlight reel. And once again, while it does show his best plays, it did show that the guy has some good anticipation and he reads the defenses. I mean, he reads the offense as well, which I don't know much about his work ethic, but I would assume off of that means he studies well in the locker room. You know, he studies well off the field. And he also uses those long arms to his advantage. If he can't get to a ball in time, he'll jump and use the arms, or he'll try and smack the ball away from the receiver. So he does use those traits that come in handy. And in addition to that, of course, I found online that he was also extremely fast. Just like Darnay Holmes, who is kind of known for his speed, this guy, Shaq Taylor, apparently runs a 4.39, and then according to himself, we don't know if it's confirmed or not, he says he could get down to a 4.31 in the 40-yard dash. But that's Shakial Taylor for you guys. I personally like the pickup. It's definitely going to be something very cheap, and I really do think that he has a real shot of taking that second outside cornerback role. And because of that, because of the value of that, I really like the pickup. Other than the fact that he seems to have the physical ability to do what he needs to get this job. I hope in terms of off the field, he's going to be fine. I hope that in terms of when it comes to studying the game and, you know, taking responsibility, he'll be good. Of course, the reason I'm saying this is because DeAndre Baker did not take that responsibility. He did not take studying the game very seriously last year, and he's essentially brought on because of DeAndre Baker being on the exempt list. So I hope it works out, and I really do think he has a real chance. I think that he has a real chance of getting this role, and even if he does, that's going to be a great, you know, signing by the front office here, picking up a guy off of waivers that could come in and take the place of DeAndre Baker. In terms of how he's going to perform, I have no idea, but it can't be any worse than the first half of Baker's season last year. And if he can match at least the second half of Baker's season, then it was worthwhile to pick up. Let me know what you guys think. Put your comments down below, and I'm out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll catch y'all in the next one.